Welcome back to some more Kerbal Space Program. So, in the previous episode, Jeb successfully piloted a vehicle outside the atmosphere. There was much rejoicing, as well as a party with pizza. So, in response to the pizza party and call for other volunteers for the space program, we have a whole slew of new applicants that just arrived. So, unfortunately, the mission crew and ground crew are pretty much all swamped with work, so they don't really have time or really want to deal with an interview process, so they're just going to kind of grab everyone who's volunteering. They've got enough suits for everyone, and if not, then the sort of hired help can always help maintain the crew area, file paperwork, and whatnot. So, that's done. Also, with success brings more contracts. Hydraulic detachment manifold, that's easy enough. In flight. LV909. Too bad I didn't have that one last time. This is the... this is some SRB, which should be all sorts of interesting. Low profile. Oh, this is a fun one. This low profile engine is one of the biggest reasons why I get the B9 pack. So, of course, I'm going to grab this one. In-flight over Kerbal Poodle engine. Definitely going to be using that one. Rocket Max, something or another. Escape trajectory out of Kerbal. Sure, why not? We can always do something fun with that. Okay, also, while we're here, and we've got quite a budget of 434 million, a little over that. Let's see about getting some more adjustments to our funding and whatnot. So in the administration building, we have some options. So what this will do is it will convert one sort of resource to another. So this one will... the one thing I do not want to do is lose science. Science does tend to build up rather slowly, and the missions that I run tend to gain complexity at almost an alarming rate. Okay, so with the new influx of crew, we basically have one of two options. Option one is reputation for science, and option two is funds for science. Funds I can see us burning through very quickly, especially with the more expensive stages that we will inevitably be either dumping or throwing into celestial bodies or into various stars or otherwise losing. Let's go ahead and take some reputation for some science. So, not to skimp on this, let's go ahead and grab, of course this is more efficient. The more you are willing to throw at the project, the more efficient it becomes. So let's go ahead and grab 30%. And I wonder if... no, let's not do that just yet. The other thing, I'm thinking 15... it's 15% funding income. No, I'm actually a little hesitant to do the funding just yet. Let's see here. So the other thing is funds off launch cost and R&D purchases, but it's going to cost us a lot of reputation to do so, which I don't really see a need for a ton of reputation, but I do want to have a little bit, so probably not going to do that. Now, also, the vessel launch cost is going to increase with this one, but it's going to give us a better recovery rate. In theory, that would be good, but a lot of the launch stuff ends up getting lost or discarded or stays in orbit, so that's a little impractical for the way I'm going to be running this. So I think that's going to be it for the administration work. That actually took a little bit longer than expected, but let's head over to the R&D department. So that one is filled out. Next is external fuel ducts. Let's go ahead and grab that one. That is always fun. Part adapters, 2.5 meter, 2.5 meter skipper. Let's go ahead and grab this one. This helps a lot with the sort of heavier launches. Maneuvers, let's see, 1990 is 180, so I can either grab Actually, I'm not going to grab anything else just yet. No, I am going to grab this and then make sure that I've actually got what I'm thinking I've got. So I need that, and then the next one's going to be these photovoltaic cells, solar panels, basically. Okay, and let's check the radar mount parachute. This radar mount parachute might be a little difficult. I might be able to do it going either up or down. Flying fan engine. Okay, let's do this hydraulic manifold and escape trajectory. So, what is the 48, whatever it is, Rocco Max? I'm thinking that is one of 48.7S is Kerbal escape trajectory. Okay, I do actually have a plan for that one. So, due to actually very humorous wording on the testing parameters that they gave me, let's go ahead and run this real quick. I think they just wanted to make sure that it worked. And making sure that it worked involves loading a bunch. Test complete. Oh, that was fun and exciting. Let's see, do we have mystery goo? Let's scrape up the last little bits that we can. Log temperature from the launch pad. Last little bit from the launch pad. Okie dokie. There's that one done. So let's recover this and get the last little tiny scrapings of launchpad science. I think 5.8 from that. Okay, so I need... Actually, that should have been enough to get this research. Perfect. Rockomax, Brandy Coupler. Okay, might as well. Okay, so now is the sort of big question. Do I have enough time to get everything that I want to get done? Radio mount. No, that is the 2.5 meter one. Basic jet engine, or profile engine. But we do not yet have a pod. That is the appropriate size. So, with that in mind, let's pull these off, and some interstage. .9. So, a stage tricoupler, and three of these, three of those. Make sure that the staging is done properly. So that is plenty of delta V to get us into orbit. Oh, how cute. So, the next thing we need is some space duct tape, also known as strut connectors. So just a couple of these to make sure that everything stays in the proper orientation and assembly. And let's see, the final thing is a heat shield. With, let's put 4 of the, actually slight change of plans. So that is actually very expensive. And also going to need to change. This is sort of one of those wacky factors that wasn't really properly considered. This stack decoupler, well, I guess it does weigh a lot less. Alright, I'll just kind of run with it. The stack decoupler costs 400, the heat shield costs 200. But it's not really enough to be overly concerning, so I'm not going to be overly concerned about it. So thrust weight. Okay, next I need to check the staging. That one fires. And fires up there, and this one actually needs to be jettisoned. Last resort. And do we have any landing gear? Is the next question. Yes, we do. Alright, landing gear. So, if everything ends up falling apart, we do have a safety system of sorts for the crew. It fires. So then where is... Oh, that one's up there. Oh, so that's the heat shield for the Mr. Goo containers. Alright, so this should be... be easy enough to do. And let's go ahead and pull Jeb out of that and put in one of our newly recruited flight crew. So, total delta V, 4,189, which is plenty to get into orbit and safely return. We do have heat shields, we do have parachutes, and we do have science. So, with that said and done, pitch heading roll 90, pitch 88, and thrust weight of 1.39, so let's go with 95% throttle. Go ahead and execute our gravity tilt. Funny thing about most, well, I don't want to say most, but I think a lot of people mistake a gravity turn in KSP, and in fact in general, as fly to an altitude, turn 45 degrees, to fly until you hit space, and circularize from there. In reality, a gravity turn needs to start basically hundreds of meters off of the launch pad at a very, very, very shallow angle. And the goal of it is to be going vertical through the first probably 10 to 15 kilometers of very dense air, and then quickly rotating to a much shallower angle to get into space. So I know that my gravity turns are not exactly the most efficient, but they are, and actually I'm messing this one up pretty thoroughly, but I do have a very tall sort of stack rocket instead of a slightly wider rocket. So 65, and this is actually pretty good. So we should have enough. Oh, that's already upper atmosphere. Oh well. Doom. Wrong temperature. Nope. And this needs to be at 35 at this point. So this was a 36, probably 30s, call it $40 million craft, and I'm about to start losing a bunch of parts. So pitch to 5. Apoapse is at 70. I know the technical entry of space, or technical point at which space begins, is 69 point something kilometers. I use a nice around 70. Most of my sort of orbital targets, or target orbits rather, are the 73 to 80 kilometer orbit. It's easy enough to reach, and there is a little bit of maneuvering room if you do it right. Maneuver, planner, RCS balancer. So simple, accelerate that until we burn out, pitch 0, and dump that stage. So, time for some more science. Material study, space near Kerbin, mystery goo, space near Kerbin, temperature, space near Kerbin, crew report, space near Kerbin. Perfect. So the one downside to this is I do have a limited electrical endurance. I have right at 2 hours on full charge. So with an orbital period of, call it 45 minutes for safety, realistically it's going to be closer to 30. But I do have to... am I going down? Yes, I am. So then I need to be at 90. Okay, so I've pretty thoroughly botched up this launch, but we are in space, and we do have enough delta V to get back. Periapse of 70, so a very, very small nudge will dump us into the atmosphere. And as long as we don't run out of power before we can get down and landed, we should be good. In fact, what I'm going to do is complete this, so another 55 science plus 115 for the original contract. Another mystery goo, because why not? Grab that one. And hopefully, EVA report just above Kerbin's water. So we have the first Kerbal actually in orbit, getting to view the home planet for the very first time. Very fun and exciting. And while we're out here, let's go ahead and grab the science. Always important. Click data. So in part, this is a science mission. But also, we are testing the sort of science pod configuration here. If done properly, I can replace the nose with or the crew capsule with a probe body, and then sort of send this entire assembly into space, probably on a cluster of 3 or 4. And then, instead of trying to do an atmospheric drop, circularize, put everything into a 75-ish kilometer orbit, and then drop the periaps into the atmosphere, or have a very small retromotor independent of the main craft. And then I can simply drop these into the atmosphere where I need, and do science that way. So, that's sort of the plan. But that's going to require slightly larger rockets than I currently have. Let's go ahead and get this thing set up for my upcoming burn. I'm going to be burning at apoaps to lower the periaps to 32 kilometers. It should be a nice, gentle-ish reentry. The one thing you have to keep in mind, the lower the velocity, the steeper reentry that you can afford, up to a point. If you're trying to safely return something, I personally never go below 27 kilometers, unless you have some very, very serious thermal protection, and or entire stages that you're willing to dump to burn off your reentry velocity. For things such as interplanetary returns, any sort of solar diving, which is, if you go to the map, let's actually go all the way out here. Solar diving would be bring your apoaps probably out to here-ish, and then swing down. The good thing is it only takes a mere 5 or 6 kilometers a second delta V, instead of the 8,000 to 9,000 required to do a straight solar mission. The return speeds on those, though, are very easily pushing the 5 kilometer a second mark. So those you want to skim the atmosphere at, I wouldn't go below 42 kilometers, and even then I would have an entire stage dedicated to burning off the excess velocity. Otherwise you end up skipping out, and your window of safe return or capture is dozens of meters instead of several kilometers, which is a lot easier to work with. So let's go ahead and zoom in. And let's see. Let's go ahead and I want to time warp a little bit. Curve in highwinds, grasswinds. The other thing I want to do is grab some EVA science. EVA report from highlands. And, oops. Grasslands, EVA. So this is more more of the sort of very easy to get science that I think a lot of people sort of skip over. It's not a lot of glorious science like, let's go to the Mun, let's go to Minmus. Sure, we can bring back 6 to 1200 science in a run, but if you're a little bit short because of either slightly miscalculating what you need, or you're doing a much harder difficulty and you need every little bit that you can get, this can often be the difference between, oh hey, cool, I've got the new part that I need, or, well, I've got to go run another mission. And Apoapse is in 6 minutes. Highlands, grasslands, we've already done. Grasslands, highlands, grasslands. And a very, very... Shoot, I should probably actually be taking screenshots. Tell you what, let's put away a couple of these that I don't really need quite yet. Is there anything actually over there? I don't think so. I'm going to move these windows out of the way as much as possible. So, retrograde and drop the periapse to 32 kilometers. Ish. Of course, this is a real life, a thing that really does happen. The burns and delta V calculations can be done basically perfectly. Very minor issues due to the weather, but once you know your orbit and everything, all of the burn times and burn calculations can be done perfectly. Sort of the fire your engines once, and hit the moon, hit a dartboard on the moon, bullseye from Earth orbit sort of deal. Of course, the downside is the valves and pumps and all of that stuff are not instantaneous, and there is very small amounts of spool up time, spool down time, valves opening, closing, and whatnot, that isn't or can't realistically be accounted for, and that will, when you're trying to hit something like a dartboard on the moon, even something as small as a few millimeters per second delta V difference will send you hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers off your target. So, anyway, we have successfully orbited. And, let's see, the other thing, I think there was a LV909 engine. That's not good. A little lag glitch, or a hiccup there. So, I'm going to use the last little bit of this upper stage for descent, and then see if I can fire between 370 and 670, I think that is, meters a second. Parachute. No, that's the 909. Okay. Okay, so I have another 12 minutes. Okay, I'm actually going to be good on power, although it is going to be a little close. So go ahead and time warp until we bump into the atmosphere. And actually, Kerbal Desert, I want to grab a quick EVA reading over this. And we're in upper atmosphere already, so that's not going to be useful at all. Okay, periaps at 6 minutes, and video running over by 6 minutes. So let's go ahead and move this along a little bit. Something I did not mention in my initial setup video is I do fiddle with the physics time step. So even though this is red, it's a much more detailed sort of physics calculation than would comes as the sort of default setting. So even though it is red, it is actually running right around the default time step. So if you see that, don't be concerned. Upper atmosphere of water. And here we have the need to slow down a bunch. So of course the engine's going to be taking the brunt of this shock heating. And hopefully the landing legs aren't going to melt off. That would be embarrassing. So no real choice but to... Oh shoot, we are so close. So close. Ideally we should end up landing on the continent. No, that's not going to happen. We're too deep. I was going to say that we should hopefully land somewhere here-ish. But I think we're going to end up missing that. The fuel tank. And we're actually about to melt these things off. So, yeah, we need to fire this thing now. And we've got engine overheating, of course. As any iron at this point, I believe, would be very, very soft, if not already liquefying at 1200 plus Celsius. Although, luckily, up here, the command pod is at a almost chilly. That's actually not bad. Minus 40, so hooray for... Oh wow. Oh, this is going to be so close to the water. Hooray for building your vehicle so that the engines, which are designed to withstand extremely high temperatures, are the ones who are acting as the improvised heat shields. And let's see, surface, pitch 90. Whoops. That's not good. Minor bit of crashing. Okay, well, unfortunately, that is going to have to wrap up this episode, as I'm at 40 minutes of the 30 allotted per episode. So, when we come back from this crash, and in the next episode, I will be trying to determine what went wrong. Realistically, though, that is a survivable reentry, or landing rather. it's going to be a water landing. However, we do have the full allotment of parachutes and whatever. The only thing that we lost was the engine and fuel tank. So if anything did end up happening to that Kerbal, I will go into the save file and bring him back to life. Because, well, game crashes don't really count as poor rocketry design. So anyway, this has been KSP, and until next time, fly safe.